Welcome to the SaaS AdLab podcast, where we bring to you the stories of SaaS founders, entrepreneurs, and CEOs. My name is Luis. I'm the owner and founder of Fantom Agency, a digital marketing agency specializing in scaling SaaS companies. And today I have the pleasure of interviewing Rytis from Omnisend. He is the co-founder and CEO. And thank you so much for being on here today. It's a pleasure having you. And before I get into anything else, I do want to mention that Rytis was very, very kind to provide anyone that is watching or listening to the podcast with a 30% off for 3 months. All you have to do is use the code Fantom. And now, why don't we get started? Why don't you tell us a little bit more about yourself, a little bit about background, where you're from, and kind of how this whole thing came to be.
Hey, it's really great to be here. Thanks for inviting. Definitely everyone can use this opportunity with code Fantom at the checkout while deciding to upgrade to a premium account at Omnisend. So my background, actually, I have graduated political sciences some time ago. So I have ended up in like digital business in like more than 10 years ago, establishing and running a digital marketing agency at that time. So we used to serve our customers, like develop them websites, online stores, Facebook applications. We used to be like extremely popular at that time. Do email marketing. So that's how we came up with the idea to launch Omnisend, what Omnisend is now. So back in the days, we have launched this tool, this SaaS product 5 years ago. At that time, for like almost 2 years, it was as a side project of still like earning money from agency operations and investing into products. So I guess it's quite common story for those who kind of shifted from agency activities to a product. So we just saw at that time, we saw a need of our e-commerce customers that they have some specific need, and generic email service providers, they don't like cover 100% of their needs. So there's kind of a specific need and niche for ourselves to launch a product and to help online stores to really retain their customers better and increase their sales, definitely, which is the most important thing. So like 5 years ago, we have launched a product with a promise to make it super easy to use, as it seemed to be like really complex thing especially like for those starting ones, entrepreneurs who have just started their business. So we have started with those like very, very beginners, and then we grew as our customers grew, and now we are kind of mainly focusing on a bit grown up companies, like established businesses, and then we do serve those who really want to make their marketing like a bit, bring it to another level. To the next level, like, ditch like MailChimp or other generic email service providers and go to real marketing automation. And another huge transformation which has happened a couple of years ago, it has started, and now we continue doing that. So from just email only to omni-channel thing. So we do cover like different channels within the product, so you can automate your marketing activities to retain your existing customers via email, via text messages, SMS, like push notifications, Facebook Messenger, Viber messages, and then synchronization with Google Ads and then Facebook Ads. So all this tool set is in one product.
Now, as far as actually, creating the company and obviously all the development that went behind the actual product, do you have a technical background as far as like developing, or did you have to find someone to do that? Because I feel like at times, especially for like early on entrepreneurs that want to come up with a product, they don't necessarily, if they're not technical, obviously they don't really know where to start or like what to do. So what can you kind of like bring, or show to people or tell people that, how do you go about really putting the 2 and 2 together? Like, how do you know what you need when you're not a technical founder?
It's a very good question, I would say. So in our case, as we're two co-founders, so we were lucky enough as we had agency. So we had technical people in-house, and like the core team, I guess 8 still of us, within like Omnisend today we work from like, you know, agency times for almost 10 years together. So we had technical people. Other than that, if you are just, you know, have an idea and you want to launch a SaaS product, so you definitely need a technical co-founder.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, if you have already a team, as it was in our case, so that's good for you. If you don't, so technical person is definitely important to have on board.
Okay. And as far as, you know, the actual marketing piece of it, and not necessarily marketing Omnisend, but marketing for your clients at that time, right? It looks like you found this problem that every single one of your, you said e-com clients had, where they weren't able to have like an omnipresent approach to their marketing. So before Omnisend, how were they trying to kind of, you know, put all those things together? Was it using multiple different softwares that it was just like super hard to like put everything, you know, in one place, and you couldn't really see like how something would interact with something else? Or what kind of things, like what was a trend that led you to understand this issue?
Yeah, exactly. So as you mentioned, so I would like to cover here like the difference between like omni-channel approach and multi-channel approach. So a lot of online businesses, they do have multi-channel marketing, and they do send emails, they do use another tool for push notifications, they do show retargeting ads on Google and Facebook, and that's good. I mean, that it works.
Right.
But what's the key difference is that a part of just having it in more convenient way, that you have single dashboard and you can track all the things in a single place, is just, you know, a small piece of that. But the real value of it is once you have it in within one tool, on one channel, on one funnel, and on one flow, you can really do it in the most effective way. So just, you know, example of a simple flow. Let's say Luis was browsing your online store, have added some products to her shopping cart, and have abandoned that shopping cart. So usually what do you do? So you use email automation tool to send emails. You might have some pixel added to your checkout page, and you start a retargeting campaign, etc. And you do start all of those campaigns at once, so you're bombarding your customer with so many messages. One thing which is not like, you know, it's not a polite way, not the best way, just, you know, to remind the customers about something in the way they want it, because you just use every channels which are available for you. So it's kind of one thing, and another thing is really cost effectiveness. As you again start using all those different channels at once, and you pay for all of them immediately. So what do we recommend? An omni-channel approach is that, okay, you start with an email, let's say, and if Luis still ignores you, he does not come back to complete the purchase you wanted, then you send a push message, maybe then you add text messages, the SMS, which is a bit more costly. And only if still he's ignoring you, only then you start showing retargeting ads, which is the most expensive way to do to reach your customers. So yeah, so our customers they usually use different tools to cover those needs for those different channels. And yeah,
But when doing so, it becomes an ineffective process.
Yes, exactly. And you know, and once you're using different tools for doing that, so you don't synchronize your data.
Right.
So you lose the real like personalization angle and thing, and you don't know who did what, and you don't have like single customer view, which is absolutely important. As you know, data is becoming more and more important. Data actually allows you to personalize marketing,
Right.
and people love personalized marketing. They hate like being bombarded with too many messages. So yeah, so you lose your data. It's not being synchronized once you're using different tools.
How do you kind of, you know, because I feel like there's a fine line between personalization, right, and then like getting too personal, where you kind of like start to freak people out and they start to get a little bit uncomfortable because you know so much about them. And then there's also the other side of the spectrum where you're not being personal enough. So how can Omnisend help you like stay within that line that's going to be, I guess you want to call it the safe place, right? And not kind of go overboard with something like that.
That's a very good question. So my answer in such questions or similar questions, which we definitely do receive, is that usually people, they are willing to exchange their personal data, exchange into more personalized advertising, in more personalized communication. So just, if you do it in the right way, that means that you get opt-in. You have permissions to use different channels to communicate with a person. So it's kind of up to your customer to choose which channels he or she prefers to use to communicate with you, and of course they do understand that you're going to track the activity online, and once they give you a permission. So kind of nowadays everyone understands that, and usually people are willing to exchange that for the brands they trust, of course. So I mean, if you just apply good practices and you don't bombard your customers too much with messages, if you definitely get their consent to communicate with them, so it's always perfectly fine to do that, and of course leave an option to unsubscribe easily from any channel the one wants, etc. So so I would say, like, addressing a question is, you shouldn't really worry about that fine line. Just apply good practices, best practices, and then get consent, leave an opportunity to unsubscribe anytime, and that's good enough.
Right. So just really just leave it up to the client or the customer, like how much do you want to give us, and then how much can we use with that. So I think that's perfectly okay, because essentially the customer is the one giving you the access to everything, right?
Yeah.
As far as the actual growth of Omnisend, and I think you mentioned, I think the product's been out for about 10 years now. Is that correct?
So we have started the agency 10 years ago. So the product is 5 years.
Okay.
For 2 years it was kind of still a side project which was not earning money, and then we focused. So yeah, I would say like five years in general, around 3 years full time.
Okay. And so first, how did that transition go from having an agency with all these clients and then trying to shift over to Omnisend solely? So was that the only, like, were you trying to just go separate ways, like you had the agency and then move on and just use Omnisend, or did you want to maybe somehow keep both going?
So it was one of the best decisions so far made in this business. So once we decided to focus and really to ditch the agency activity at that time, that was kind of phenomenally interesting. Once we kind of made a decision that, okay, we are not focusing on agency anymore, and we are like gradually sunsetting those activities, we have increased our prices. And so it was like highly profitable at that time. I mean, it was like the best years in the agency activities. Okay, well, we had already market presence. I mean, we had portfolio of customers, of great jobs done. So it everything helped. But yeah, that was a decision that, okay, so we just gradually sunset. Then we kind of sold the portfolio of customers for another agency, and focused on Omnisend marketing automation tool. So yeah, so to make that focus was one of the best decisions so far, as that was not like how to say, at that time we were not like 100% sure if we're gonna succeed, but that risk paid off, and
Right, which you'll never really know until you actually do something.
yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. But just one of the lessons is that, like, focusing on something really helps you to achieve better goals.
So as far as actually getting the product out into the market, like, I'm sure that you were using it for your clients that you had, right? Because that's the main reason that you built up the product, because you saw the need within those specific customers or clients that you had in the agency. But once that transition was done and you were focused on Omnisend alone, what were kind of like the main actions that you and your team were taking in order to start acquiring new customers for Omnisend?
Yeah, so we have tried quite a lot, and the way initially it's like really playing in within ecosystem, so app stores, so Shopify, BigCommerce, Ticktail. At that time, unfortunately, this platform no longer exists, but at that time it was a really hot startup with millions, hundreds of millions raised. So we kind of managed to jump into the ecosystem, into the app stores, and initially it was like the sole customer acquisition channel, something similar like Google Play or
Right.
you know,
That's
just web store. So yeah, the app store. So that initially that was the key customer acquisition channel.
Mhm.
And then we have started like expanding, working more on like SEO, just brand awareness, partnerships with agencies who do marketing on behalf of their customers, sponsorship of events, etc., etc. Yeah.
Very cool. And as far as like the number one thing that your products that your customers love about Omnisend, what would you say that feature is? Is it the reporting? Is it, being able to see everything working together?
Yeah, so I would say it's kind of initially it's how easily you can start doing quite robust things with just a few clicks. As a lot of is preset. We have kind of default presets, etc. So it's kind of very easy to start using and start benefiting from that. And afterwards you can customize a lot. So I would say that's the one of the most loved things is how easy it is to start to
Mhm.
use, and how robust and sophisticated you can customize, you can personalize things once you get into the product a little bit, to start understanding better what exactly do you need.
How does the process of onboarding new customers look like for Omnisend?
So it depends. We have two kind of customers. One's like purely self-service. Those like a little bit smaller ones. So you just create an account. There is 14 days trial, and you play around. You make a decision. You connect your store, which is absolutely in our case is very important to connect with your online store. So if you're using like Shopify or Magento, BigCommerce or like WooCommerce, it's as easy as just installing a plugin,
Mhm.
ready-made plugin. If you have your homegrown or any other e-commerce platform, so you just you need to code a little bit. We have open API, so you can
Okay.
integrate, and we do synchronize a lot of data, which really helps you to afterwards to make a better marketing, like really get a lot of triggers, have a lot of data around your customers, and have this like a single customer profile, which is definitely
Mhm.
needed is needed to run proper marketing activities. Yeah, so you start like this. So it's one is self-service group, and another group is larger customers, which usually require or they want like sales, like high-touch sales process. And we do demo, we do introduce capabilities, we do discuss whatever their goals, and is Omnisend the right tool to help them with their challenges for their marketing activities. Yeah, so we do have account managers here, and then account managers they help them to onboard alongside with like videos recorded for like different pieces of the tool to achieve different goals. So yeah, but mainly it's either self-service with a lot of pre-built things, or it's guidance and assistance um, uh, by made by account managers.
Very cool. That's awesome. And as far as like, has content marketing been a piece of your marketing strategy at all?
Yes, yes.
And what kind of content are you putting out? Is it more like case studies of people using Omnisend and them seeing like, the results and what kind of that was able to bring in for them? Or is it content around something else?
So it's kind of, I would say, two kinds of. One is educational. One is education. So how to things, how to achieve, how to automate your marketing activities, how to do it in omni-channel way, how to use different channels, and then what is the best combination, and then that's different. What is customer life cycle? How to play with that. Uh, Best was kind of more like educational one. Second piece is that case studies about how did our customers succeeded with us, and that's important. And then the third piece is which is very important, and it's being quoted quite a lot. So we already have quite a lot of data. So we have more than 50,000 online stores.
That's awesome.
Yeah, using us, so both like on free and paid plans. So we do have premium models. So we have like millions and millions emails being sent every day, and text messages and push notifications, etc. A lot. So we do analyze a lot of that data, and we do publish some researches. What is the best time to send an email? What is the best combination of like email plus like push notification or so? And we do make infographics out of that, and do press releases, and yeah. So there's kind of third piece, which is very, very important for our content marketing, as it's the most quoted. So if we talk just purely about like backlinks we get, so that's the best tactics. You create something unique which can be used by other sources
Totally.
as a primary and original source.
Mm-hmm. And as far as user feedback and really understanding, what kind of things people are looking for, new features that you might want to roll out, and the roadmap, like how do you kind of put all those things together?
Yeah, very good question. So NPS is definitely a great method of getting customer feedback. It's just such a that simple idea, but such a brilliant idea. So we do use NPS quite a lot. It's one thing. Alongside, we do have sometimes conduct like more in-depth customer researches on how do they use the tool, etc. After that, it's a lot of feedback which is being collected by our support people, by our sales people. So once our existing customer, prospective customer, is asking for something which might be not in the product yet, or maybe the use case is a little bit different, is something new which we have not thought about yet, etc. So we do collect all this information, and we do use the tool called Product Board.
Okay.
So it's SaaS again. So like all the information is being collected there finally, and we have now like separate person who really analyze all of those requests and groups them. So there is a qualification. So if the customers are larger, you get more points. That request, and if the customers are smaller, then a bit less points, and you just you get each feature request gets the score at the end of the day, and then goes to product team. Yeah, so that's kind of user voice is absolutely important. Alongside we do develop something which is kind of unique ideas, and even our customers are not requesting, but we think that it might differentiate us in the market. So like omnichannel customers were not requesting that.
Yeah, it was something that was kind of obvious to you, and you probably did a lot of research to see if there was anything like it out there, which is awesome.
Yeah. So there's those two ways. Like one is like customer feedback, properly collected, grouped, scored, and then ends up as a roadmap alongside with our own ideas. How do we see the future of online marketing, and what should be developed, although the customers are not requesting yet.
And now that we're speaking a little bit more about the features and the roadmap of Omnisend, what is the number one thing that the team is currently working on to bring out into the public?
Yeah, so currently currently. So yes, yeah. At the moment we are recording this, so I would say like a little bit more than a month ago, there was kind of Mailchimp and then Shopify, which is
What was
important for our
the
ecosystem.
issue that they had?
Yeah, so kind of Mailchimp is not anymore supported, like native integration is not anymore supported on Shopify platform. So we do get a lot of customers migrating from Mailchimp, and they're looking for, they're looking for new tool, but they're looking for some Mailchimp-like features there, although we have solved something a little different. So some of those which are kind of the most requested, again, collected in the customer feedback way. So now we currently making some features to please those migrating customers, to lower them the barrier of migration, to lower the learning curve of a new product. So it's kind of current things. Yeah, and yeah, another huge piece which is going to be like purely original. So there's a lot of reporting. So we just have launched like new reporting dashboard with a lot of insights. So it's still like V1 now is live, and it's going to be developed a lot, like improving the customer profile view, how much data you see around each customer, how that you can analyze much more than you can do now. So that's going to be a new huge thing.
Very cool. Very cool. And now we'll get into a couple of more personal questions for yourself. And there'll be, maybe it could be a little bit harder to answer this one, but essentially, what's something that you're not very good at when it comes to, your position?
Oh, what I'm not good at. So many things. Yeah, sure. Like very, very many things I'm not good at. Therefore, I'm trying to find great people to surround myself with great people. So I'm not good at development. I'm not good at product roadmap. I'm not the best at marketing, even although the product is about marketing. Yeah, but yeah, I'm not like super good in customer success, but I do have people. We do have people in the team to cover those roles and to really to master things. Yeah, so I would say there is no like single thing which I'm not good at. There are so many of those areas.
And to kind of see the other side of the spectrum, what is one thing that that you're really, really good at?
I'm not sure if I'm really like super good at that, but I'm trying to make myself better. So, as I strongly believe that the key role of CEO is in the company is really to motivate people and to really find talents and bring vision for them and empower them. So I guess like finding great people and empowering them to deliver great results. So that's what I would like to be great at, and I'm really like working on that.
Awesome. And how are you working on
that? Reading, thinking, talking to team members, and how can things be improved. And I'm really open for all the feedback. And then I'm trying to do that. And yeah, I get like both good and bad feedback from the team sometimes. So hope that shows that people are really honest and they are not afraid to criticize me sometimes. So that's very important. So yeah, so internally working with people and asking their help for you to become a better leader. And externally, so learning from other leaders, reading stuff, reading books.
100%. And when you're looking for talent for the company, what is like, if you could find one trait, and if you would hire someone based on one single trait, what would that be?
I would say it's cultural fit. which is more important than a skill set. Like skills are very important, but if a person does not fit culturally within the organization, so you will not benefit from hiring that person. And usually it really, either you're gonna separate soon, or
Right.
or if you're gonna, both of you, like, try to keep that going, so it will start to ruin your organizational culture, which is very important.
Yeah, and I don't think I've ever thought of something or culture like being one of those things, or I would say it's one of those things, but maybe not the top one. But I think you have a really great point. You know, if they don't fit, they might stay for a couple of months and then leave. So eventually, it's not going to be a good fit either way. And everything else can be pretty much taught. You know, it's skills, you can learn those over time, you can train and so on, and all that. But really, culture, I think that's almost ingrained in people, and that's going to be a lot more difficult to change in someone than, you know, just teaching them how to do something specifically, when there's tons of trainings out there. So I think that's a really, really good point. um, Now, if you had a piece of advice for any other entrepreneur or SaaS founder out there, whether they're early stage or already, you know, have some years behind them, what would that be?
At early stage, I would say, like, really find a monetizable customer pain for any entrepreneur. So I see a lot of great ideas of startups, which and I had a couple of tries previously which have failed. Like
Mhm.
a couple of startups failed because we did not manage to find a really monetizable customer pain.
Mhm.
And this is a huge difference between a nice to have product and the must have product,
Mhm.
or solution. So to really be brutal honest with yourself. Is your solution, is your product really nice to have or must have?
Mhm.
If it's must have, someone will start paying for that really early. If it's just nice to have, you might, get stuck into great numbers, into those vanity metrics that, installs are growing, but no one is paying, nobody's using active enough, or maybe even using actively your product, but no one is paying. So I would say it's kind of for the early stage entrepreneurs who are just starting about, or thinking about
Right.
how to start their own venture. So and for um, for the later stage, I don't even know. I need advices. Like,
That's
although I think it's yeah, although something is kind of good with the company, it's the revenue, it's doubling like year on year, everything is fine, but I don't know, just yeah, keep innovating. I would say that's probably, especially if it's like SaaS, that means that it's tech industry
right.
somehow, and the competition doesn't matter what you do is really
Mhm.
is huge. And if you just stop innovating, so you're gonna get lost. And yeah, and maybe, yeah, this is another. I'm not sure if it's like only for founders, but what I keep saying for the team is really strive for progress, not perfection.
Mhm.
Yeah, so that would be the piece
Totally.
of advice.
For,
Just
for Go ahead.
just become a little bit better each day. But I mean, you will never be a perfect. Neither your product gonna be, nor your team you're gonna be. But just become a little bit better each day.
100%. And just to kind of go back off what you said for the advice for the early stage founders, um, how how can you how can you find, you know, something that will be monetizable? Let's say if you have, like a free trial model where you're trying to get your new customers, what is, I guess, you know, the next step after that to start finding whether or not these people will actually pay for it?
So just the trial, as we kind of a few days ago had a discussion about the purpose of trial. So the purpose of trial is really to help prospective customers to understand, capabilities of a product, but not actually use it. So it's a tricky thing, but just find the ways where you restrict your product usage, as it's enough to understand that what are capabilities, do they reflect my needs for the customer, but not actually use it. So even if you have 14 days, which I would not recommend to have longer, as we had initially 30 days, and then once I talk with just starting entrepreneurs, they do
Mm-hmm.
a lot of them, they do like 30 days initially.
Yeah.
So shorten it to 14 days, or maybe sometimes even to 1 week. Depends on the case, but yeah, just think how to restrict and what happens then. But you show the capabilities of your product, and that's a good catalyst to see that if once your potential customers, they see what are the capabilities of a product, and you restrict them of really from using it, so they either pay or they leave. So
Mm-hmm. Awesome.
that's the best way.
And as far as other SaaS companies that you kind of look up to, whether it's for their culture or their actual product, what are some, I guess, inspo companies that are out there for you?
So I would say like Intercom. They're doing a great job. Stripe. It's not like purely SaaS, something like similar. Shopify,
Yeah.
definitely. It's huge. We have great relationship with them. We are kind of one of the top solutions in the ecosystem for marketing automation. So that like close relationship really helps us to see things from both from side and from inside sometimes. So really a lot of things to be learned, how really a great product was built from the very beginning, and then great timing was chosen for raising the money. And as they have not raised like initially for quite many years, they were bootstrapping, but then they made the decision to raise, and it really kicked them out to absolutely new level.
Yeah.
So yeah,
100%.
I would mention those companies.
Totally. And Rytis, last question. Do you have any questions for me?
So what would be your advice for me?
My advice, I feel like we didn't necessarily go too much into like what you're doing as far as marketing other than the content and stuff like that, but I think it's pretty much goes hand in hand, with what you are doing at Omnisend is just the omni-channel approach. Obviously you want to make sure that you're everywhere and really leveraging all the power that technology has been giving us. And I don't know if you're doing paid advertisements or not for Omnisend, but I think, when really trying to scale, if that's something that you're trying to do, one of the things that you can do that is very successful is educating people. And again, that's why I asked the question about the content, is educating people, and kind of driving them down this funnel. And you can use a lot of different channels to do this. It doesn't have to be just like Facebook ads or Google or any of those. You can just drive them down a funnel with different channels coming in, where you're kind of providing them different pieces of value or information that are going to ideally get them to understand that they have a problem and you have a solution. On top of that, people trust you, and you have all these companies that are currently using you, and it kind of puts everything together where it leaves them really without any objection. So a lot of the times people don't subscribe for something or purchase something is because they have objections to it, right? So they either don't know how to use it, they don't understand the product, they either don't trust it because they don't really know who's using it. They have a price objection where maybe it's too pricey, or maybe they don't understand the true value of it, so they don't give it the value that you've given your product. So it's really overcoming each one of those with different pieces at different points in time, because everyone, the life cycle of the, I guess, the journey of the funnel, you kind of break it up where you are showing them things just how you want them to perceive them. So you can teach them more about the product itself to get them to understand what it is and what like the capabilities that there are. And then once they know that, like they already understand that you are a solution that they can use, but what's next? Well, what's the cost, right? Like that's going to be a pretty big investment for someone, especially if they do it for a long run. So then you have to kind of give them incentives to try it out. Maybe you can do a free trial, or maybe you can do risk-free days where you pay and they cancel them 15 days and you can get them their money back, and things like that. And you can show them video testimonials are huge. And you can just have those literally running on various channels where it's just telling people like, oh, I was able to increase return on investment by 200% by using Omnisend. And every time they see that, like, who doesn't want to do that with their company, right? So it's like, it's just kind of keep showing them over and over again, obviously with different pieces of content. If you use only one, only one testimonial, it might be repetitive and maybe not too credible because it's the same one over and over again. So just switching it up and making sure that you're really telling a story and at the same time educating and overcoming those objections.
Thank you, Luis. That's awesome. Yeah, as I said, it's I need advice. Everyone needs. Yeah, I really love this idea about video testimonials.
Yeah, it's really good. We've seen it work with a lot of clients, and if I can provide that information to anyone, I'm happy to do so.
Cool, thank you. Yeah, really, it was not even in our kind of idea list. Thanks.
Of course. And to anyone that's watching, that's pretty much the end of the interview. And I really appreciate you, Rytis, for being on here today. It was truly a pleasure having you and learning a little bit more about yourself, a lot more about Omnisend and how companies are using it to really bring all their marketing into one place and being able to understand how really they work together, right? Because typically you have people that are using like 10 different tools to do one thing, which is increase sales, and really having everything in one place and seeing how that's going to trend and what kind of things, like, okay, let's move this thing and let's try to tweak this one, and seeing how that actually going to move the needle is invaluable, I think. So thank you for creating a great product for people in the e-com industries, and I think you might be able to, I think other industries use you as well, right?
Yes. So anyone who has online transactions.
There you go.
So just, and then we create value. Others can use as well, but we create value as much as any other marketing tool. But for those who do have online transactions, we are very valuable.
There you go. Awesome. So again, where can people find you online?
Omnisend.com. Yeah, personally myself, I prefer using LinkedIn or Twitter. So mainly LinkedIn is my top preferred social network. So definitely let's connect there.
Connect with him. Follow him on Twitter. Send him a tweet. Send him a LinkedIn message, whatever it may be. And you can find me at camacho.ftm on Instagram, Twitter, and you can find me on LinkedIn as well as Facebook. If you're not part of the Facebook group yet, make sure to join SaaS AdLab Facebook group. And if you want to be on the interview, let me know. Like, comment, subscribe, and all those things. And we'll see you again. Thank you so much, Rytis, for being on here.
It's been a pleasure. Thanks.
Bye-bye.